We'd like to welcome each and every individual too. We're not really sure. Voices of integrity, that we're sure about, but we're not really sure if this is, white males over 50 or if this is Mark Boersma for dummies. I'm thinking it might be Mark Boersma for dummies, but we're not really sure. So it could go either direction. Nor I don't know if you've been looking forward to this as much as I have, but I've been looking forward to this. So Nora, you had a question for me yesterday.
Yeah. I wondered or was wondering if you think that, because you'd mentioned in the past that you'd struggled with being a pathological liar, or you realized at a young age. And then I asked if you think that you still struggle with that.
Oh, I don't know if you struggle with being a pathological liar. Maybe, I guess. I think that, maybe you are or you aren't. So when I was 15, I realized that I was on the tipping point of being a pathological liar. So I don't know if lying is like an addiction, like alcohol or drugs. Like, are you going to always struggle with it your whole life? I don't know. But I knew that I couldn't get close. So obviously, if you ask somebody, do you struggle with being a pathological liar? If they say no, I mean, that's what a pathological liar says, right? So it's a curious question. I'm curious, um, why did you ask that?
Because of I think it was yesterday morning when you did like a Mark Borsma for Dummy podcast, and your opening statement was that we, like Elaine, Anita, and I had, told you that we haven't done one of those in a while. And I'm
Okay,
like, none of us said that. So I was just curious, like, what is, I don't know. I was just curious.
okay, um, fascinating. Anything else? So I don't know on that there. I mean, I could go back in. How would you like me to respond to you on this?
I don't think that there's a necessarily a way that I want you to respond to it. It was just a question. Like, I just thought maybe it was something that I had thought about before because there was another incident where I was like, but I just like it, like, I'm just gonna leave it. It's not, I don't know, like it, except I don't know. So I don't know that my decision making is always the best. So sometimes I just don't say anything. Just, I don't know. Is that the best thing to do? I don't know. So then it's like, well, maybe I do say something
So is this
now. So since
so
it's
there's
happened
this
before.
situation and another situation.
Yeah.
So there's
That
two of them.
I've like
Right,
thought about, like, and been like, that's really interesting. I wonder
right, right. So um is this common for you?
for me to what.
Like when somebody goes ahead and when it's not quite, I don't know, not quite 100% accurate in your mind, you think, I wonder if they're pathological. Like,
Well, I don't know how you would categorize that because, and the one other was with one of our team members that you'd said, you know, that the three of us ladies were talking about her on this specific thing. And it was just like, you're the one that had brought it up. I don't remember even commenting on it. And it was just weird. So it's just, I don't know. Like, I don't know like,
so
what
on
category that
pathological,
falls
yeah,
under.
and pathological lying, what it is they've done tests at the big universities, and when you lie once, the brain goes ahead and attacks it, guilt, and then when you lie more than once, like every time you lie, it goes down and down, and a pathological liar can lie and not even know it. Like they can pass a lie detector test because they lie so much that they don't even realize they're lying. So that's the definition of a pathological liar. They lie so frequently, they don't even know they're lying. They don't even think they're lying. You can say, well, that's a lie. And they're like, no, it's not. And they really honestly believe it's not. It's a mind shift. So that's kind of the definition. So the story is like when I was in my teen years, I lied about everything. Like it was just crazy. It was an addiction. It's lying. And my dad went ahead and once, said, Mark, we were at Faith Baptist Bible College in Ankeny, Iowa for a missions conference. And, we were supposed to have not street tennis shoes on the hardwood floors because it would scratch up the floor. He said, I'm running to the gym, play basketball. And he said, do you have your gym shoes? And I said, no, they're in the car. I'm going to grab them. He says, are you sure? And I said, yes. And I wasn't. I had no intention. I just straight up lied to him. And he looked at me and he just kind of cocked and said, he's Mark, the gym shoes. And it wasn't that big of a deal. It's like a thief. It's like a thief where often a thief, somebody who's a pathological thief, like they're stealing, they don't get caught on the big ones. People who lie, they don't get caught on the big lies typically. It's the little ones. And that's where people don't realize this person's lying all the time. So you're going to catch them on the little ones. And most of the time, you don't do anything. My dad, I don't think he disciplined me. It was just like an awareness. And so from that point on, that was 15 years old. So that was, whatever, 45, 46 years ago. I'm like, you have got to be really, really careful, Mark. Really, really careful about it. Linda Breakall, my international speaking coach, she went ahead and said, Mark, when you're as a professional coach, when you're telling stories, they don't have to be real. I'm like, but that's lying. So I would have been 28 years old, 29 probably. And she's like, yeah, they don't have to be real stories. Like you can make them up. Well, fortunately, with 7 kids, I've got enough stories. I don't have to make up my stories. So to me, it's a slippery slope. It's a very, very, very slippery slope. And I think the one that seems to have the most issue with lying is going to be the amiable. They say things all the time that are not true. Like they just do. It's just weird. Like they won't tell people the truth. Now, what is a lie? That's where, unfortunately, it's not black and white. And so, like, with that, like, it's fascinating to me that you'd have two things that are gray, maybe, like, maybe gray. Um, and you immediately go to, I wonder if he's a pathological liar. That to me is kind of interesting. I'm like, I wonder if she has the same standard for herself. So there's gray, there's bending stuff too, where like if you go ahead and tell a part of a story, but not all the whole story, is that the same thing? Or maybe even worse.
Not sure. I mean, that's probably going to depend too on, each individual person's going to have a different perspective on it. And it wasn't a judgment or anything. It was just a question because I was like, well, maybe you didn't realize that you said that and we actually didn't say it. I
Well,
don't know.
again, how good is your memory?
What do you mean?
How I'll go a little slower. How good is your memory? You said we didn't say it. Do you have a photographic auditory memory? Do you have a memory of everything that you say?
Um, I wouldn't say everything, no,
But you have a pretty good memory.
most of the time.
But sometimes you don't. So how do you have confidence that you say stuff or don't say stuff?
I don't know, I think it's good to not have to have like an open mind about it and be like, I could be wrong too.
Right.
It's like, I
Right.
mean,
As far as I remember, I don't remember saying something about that. So from this point forward, without question, I'm going to be really careful around you on what I say. And so on those type of things, like it's like, is that lying? Is that, I mean, have you guys never asked about that? I mean, what is it? And so in the future, probably what I'll do is I'll probably be more direct and say, Nora and Anita and Elaine, Nora, Anita, and Elaine, they should have asked, but they haven't asked. Okay. So I will go into I will go into a hyper drive because to me, that's just, I mean, it's like, wow, that's a high standard. Now, as long as you have that same standard for yourself, I don't have a problem with that. The challenge is a lot of times people expect a lot more out of other people than they expect out of themselves.
Yeah. I mean,
So a lot of times what people will do is people that have issues with pathological lying, they're trying to catch other people in a lie and they are not trying to catch themselves. So do you think you're a pathological liar?
um, yes, I've never seen myself as a pathological liar, but
Do you think you do memory shifts, mind shifts?
I don't know.
So so I asked you before, like, are you concerned? Like you're sensitive, you're cautious about what you say to me. And yeah, and I'm like, why is that? And you said uh because I don't think you take things seriously. I don't know if I've ever had anybody ever tell me that before. I mean, that's surprising coming from you. Then I said, see, most people think I'm going to flip it on them. And you're like, well, isn't that the same thing? And you're familiar with that, where how there were two words and you said they're the same thing and it's not the same thing. It's not even close, but you got, you got, you got locked. You're like, well, those are no. And you came back multiple, three, four times about that. So is that lying when you say it's the same word and it's not the same word? If they were the same words, you wouldn't need two separate words. Is that lying?
Yeah, I guess technically, yeah.
So I can see if somebody says to me, you're dismissive, I'm like, holy cow, that's fascinating. Like that's dismissing is just ignoring it. The amount I think I internalize things insane. I mean, probably too much. When somebody says something to me, the precision upon which I will communicate now going forward with you is absolutely insane. You've never experienced anything like it. Somebody who will measure his words and consider everything he says around you and everything he does. You will never have experienced somebody who takes what I say because of what you said. You won't. You'll experience it so extreme it'll be insane. Now,
Yeah.
do I flip things and people say, well, you're twisting my word? Am I? Well, I didn't say that. You actually did, and it's actually on recording. Okay, I did say it, but I didn't mean it. Is that a common practice where you're talking about things that you're not really meaning? So the reason that it looks like I'm flipping things is because people don't flip them on themselves. They don't have a reflex of immediately self evaluation. They'll go ahead and attack other people or present things to other people, but they don't present things, they don't question themselves. And anytime we go ahead and do that, I mean, the Bible's very clear. Get the get the log out of your own eye so you can get the splinter out of somebody else's eye. It's not to not see anything. Don't see my issues or other people's issues. And so and so um so I
So is it to get the log out of your own eye so you can get the
it is
splinter out of the others, or is it
No,
before you get the splinter out of the others.
no. Well, it's a command. My understanding is in the original language, it's a command. You have to get it out so you can get out. One of the fastest ways to see if you get it out is to go ahead and point out somebody else's, because that's when they're probably going to point out yours. And if you're not prepared for that, like when you went ahead and said, "Are you a pathological liar?" I'm like, I don't know. Let's have a conversation. So most people, I think, would go ahead and say, "Dang, holy cow." So there's those two things immediately. Nora went to, I wonder if Mark's a pathological liar. It's like, whoa, that's a high. Again, I love high standards. As long as, well, I love them either way. Even if people have a high standard of me and a low standard of themselves, you know, I, but I think most people, they're not real good at having a high standard of themselves. And they don't even realize it. They think they have a high standard, but they don't. So there was a interesting conversation that we had about a client, and so that whole thing is still a little murky. But my understanding is what you said to Elaine on that situation is you said, Mark said that it's dangerous, and this is where the analytic gets really detailed. If they can find one word, one piece, one little tiny thing. So what they try to do is they miss the big picture. Drivers good at this. They niggle, they try to get a little tiny detail, because if they can get one thing that's off, then they can dismiss the whole thing. It's common for the analytic. So big picture, maybe not the exact words, but big picture is where Mark went ahead and said that it's more dangerous or something to be with two guys as a woman than one guy when you're going out. Do you remember saying that to Elaine?
I do not.
So,
I rem
um,
I remember saying, what's the difference between if it's two guys and a girl? Like, wouldn't it be better if it was two girls and a guy? Was it?
yeah. And so it's like Mark said this, and my understanding is Elaine, and Elaine, you can jump in at any time. But my understanding is it's Elaine's like, that doesn't sound like Mark at all. So that's a very specific response that Elaine had. There's a very specific response, like, yeah, no, that doesn't sound like Mark at all. And so um so that's why I love podcasts, because when things are recorded, I don't know, are people more careful what they say? Maybe, maybe not. But you can actually go back and you can actually go ahead and listen to what was said. And if somebody goes ahead and says, well, that's not what I meant, then that indicates the person's sloppy. And so what they're saying is, you really can't trust what I'm saying, because at any given time. And so I think it's good to challenge. I think it's good to challenge one another. I think it's an iron sharpening iron on things. And we tend to have, like, we tend to hear what we tend to hear what we want to hear, and we tend to see what we want to see. And Jim Bontrager and Mark Boersma for Dummies, he says, I think it's where we judge other people, we judge ourselves on our intentions and other people on their actions. Well, I intended to say this, I intended to do something good, but it's dicey. Elaine, questions or thoughts that you have?
Not currently.
Ginger Ann, questions or thoughts that you have? Nora, questions or thoughts you
Comment.
have?
Um, No, I mean, I don't think so.
So I think that, like, one thing I wonder, I wonder, like, 1 to 10, how much do you think you trust me now? So you trust people at a 3 when we first met 10 months ago. You trusted me at a 10. And now what do you think you're trusting me at?
Mm, I was gonna say I feel like it's different in different situations.
Right,
Um, but just kind of an average, maybe 4.
right. And I'd say the same thing for me. It's different in different situations. And so, I wonder if you hold things back and I can feel that. I don't know. I wonder if I hold things back and I wonder if you can feel that. Like we don't say it, but we can just feel it in one another. Like there's something she's not telling me, or there's something he's not telling me. Um, and often I wonder if it's worse, the feeling, and we don't even know it. Like it's just subconscious. But you have had situations where you share stuff with me, and it doesn't go the way you'd like to go. So that's a negative experience for you. And there's things that I've shared with you that, yeah, it hasn't gone the way I'd like it to go. And so I think we both tend not to share with one another. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it's not. I don't know. And so you and I are a similar personality. You're a bit more analytic than I am, and you're a bit more expressive than I am. I'm going to be a bit more driver than you are. But I think our life experiences and our experiences with people are going to be very similar. And I think the first 3 months, I think there's a connection that was, I think there was a connection there where we just felt like somebody understood us. And something happened after the first 3 months. And I'm not saying it's good or bad. I'm not saying like, I think there's good parts about there's bad parts about. I think in friendships, it's hard. It's just hard. It's easier just not to have deep friendships, just to have superficial surface friendships. It's not easy. Anything else, Nora, you have?
Nope, I don't think so.
Okay. So thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate it. 1 to 10, how do you think it was handled? If you're talking, we can't hear you. Oh, can't hear you if you're talking. Oh, on this 4 steps to conflict resolution, that's what we developed for the Jerusalem project. And so if you ask, did it work? It's like, didn't seem so, but this did trigger something for me that, when there's when there's hurt conflict, you acknowledge the hurt you see, and then you ask how it hurt. So you feel their pain, and then how can I make sure I don't do it again? And then you ask for forgiveness and say and mean, I will work to make sure that never happens again. But it's an onion. It's an onion. And so often we hurt other people hurt us, and we feel the hurt that other people hurt us. We feel that very acutely. What we don't realize is we don't realize that we've hurt them. round one is where we express to them the hurt they have. Round two is they might express back, well, you hurt me. Round three might be, well, you hurt me here. And I think in friendships or relationships, um, especially when there's growth, it's going to go ahead and be messy. It's going to be hard. Like there might be so much stuff that you don't even know. And so, are you back, Nora? Can we hear you? Still can't hear you. Um, so I think that when we bring something up to other people about an issue that we have with them, there's a high statistical probability they're going to have an issue with us. Are they weaponizing it and just saving it? Maybe. Or are they like, I'm going to let that one go unless, like like in sports, it's like somebody fouls somebody. If somebody fouls somebody and you're like, I'm going to let that foul go. But if they're going to call a foul, you know what? I'm going to call a foul too. I think that's, probably human nature to a large degree. Are you back?
Can you hear me now?
We can, yes.
Okay, sorry. Um, okay, so you asked me to rate it 1 to 10. I would say probably an 8. And the only
Okay.
reason that I say an 8, not a 10, is just because I don't think you necessarily answered the question. But do you need to? I don't know that you need to. So
I
it's
think
fine.
I struggle with it. I don't. I don't think I do. Am I aware, like an alcoholic, that it could come back like a wild banshee? I am. Am I appreciative am I appreciative that you brought it out? Absolutely. I mean, for sure, totally. Um, am I going to go ahead? Am I going to go ahead and change everything in my conversation with you? I will. So when somebody is responsive to you, do you go ahead and look for that responsiveness? And do you go ahead, I don't know, and communicate that or at least recognize, the next time I think somebody's dismissive or Mark is dismissive, man, that guy, like he's not, he is all over this thing. Like to him, I don't think very many people would have those situations happen. I think most people would just laugh it off and think it's kind of funny. I do. I think most people would be like, that's kind of funny. Like, I mean, did they really say, I don't know, should they? I mean, is it subconscious? I don't know. Have a little fun, play a little bit. I don't think most people would have two situations that are, I don't know, a little bit gray and say, I wonder if there's two of those. But that doesn't mean it's wrong to do. That doesn't mean it's wrong to do at all. So I will because nobody's ever asked me that before. I'm going to internalize that and I'm going to change around you. Will I do it around other people? I don't know. Depends. Maybe, you know, if they're as sensitive as you, then I'll try to do it. If they go ahead and do that kind of stuff on a regular basis, I might go ahead and do it more than they do just to irritate them. Just to go, you know what? Questions on that?
No, I don't think so.
Um, and so to make it a 10, maybe answer the question first and then go ahead and go into details. Might be better.
Yeah, probably. Just, I don't know, because it's like if you ask a question and then you leave the conversation and you don't really, like, you feel like the question wasn't, like, answered. Like, it wasn't just like, I do or I don't think so. Like,
Right.
then it's just like you kind of like, you ask the question and you don't really have any, I don't know, maybe that's just me being my analytic. I just,
No, you don't have closure.
like yes or no. Like,
Right. And that's, if you're expecting that out of other people, it's really important that you do it yourself.
right.
And so I think a lot of times things aren't yes or no. There's a bunch of gray, there's a bunch of other things. And so it's like, well, but I think it's good to say, okay, no, and here's this or additional questions or those types of things. I have noticed, and I'm not saying in this situation, I have noticed there's multiple situations where like somebody ask a question and I think that I'm very clear in answering that question. But because it's not the question they wanted, it's not the response they wanted, or they didn't understand my response. They think, well, he didn't answer the question. Well, maybe. So good. Yeah. I mean, so I will go ahead and seek to make sure I make those two adjustments. And I appreciate you bringing it up. So if you have any
Yeah, and I
questions,
don't want you to think that you have to. Like, it was just an observation, and I was like, I should, instead of just sitting here and wondering, like, I should just ask him. So I don't think you
absolutely.
have to change unless there's something that needs to be changed. Then yeah, obviously change, but don't like do it for me because it's not really for me. Like, if does that make sense?
Well, I can see what you're saying. That doesn't mean I'm agreeing with you because there's nuances that I don't think you're seeing. Does that
Okay.
make sense or not?
Trying to think of the nuances.
So, um, in a way, it really is for you because you're you're hypersensitive to those things. And so most people are not going to be like Mark jokes a lot. Like he jokes a lot about people saying this. And he could say, well, I might say in the future, I might say Nora and Anita and Elaine, all went ahead and they subconscious. I could say they should be saying it. I could say they're subconsciously. There's a whole bunch of different things. So it really is for you. That doesn't mean it's bad. It really is for you. It's out of consideration for Nora that I'm going to go ahead and make these alterations because if I don't make these alterations, she thinks that what I'm doing is wrong. Maybe it's wrong, maybe it's not. That, you know, my guess is that probably Elaine and Anita didn't have a problem with it. Is it because they understood the joking nature of it? And so maybe just because they didn't have an issue with it doesn't mean it's not an issue, though. But for sure, if I change it for you, I'm changing it for you. It's not bad to do that. It's out of consideration for you. See, I think I have the bandwidth to do that. I think I can go ahead and say, Nora's like this in this situation. And so I'm going to give her consideration, and it really is for her. Now, that doesn't mean it's not for my benefit or I don't gain benefit from it as well, because there's probably other people out there like Nora, and I may be creating a stumbling block for them. I may be creating a stumbling block for them that's impacting their ability to listen to me. Questions?
No, that last part, yeah, I got that because it's like, if I think that, and this is just my thoughts, like if I think that if you say that we said something and you're joking about it, but you say that we said it and we didn't say it, then it's like, okay, so if he like then when you do say other stuff that's, maybe it is, maybe it's not, it's like you kind of question it and you're like, well, I don't really know because I know of this incident, and I don't know, it just makes it a little mucky and it just yeah, so I don't know. It's yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add to it.
Yeah, and so I think like Anita, what she said in the manage up, and this is out, like in the reflection for the vision, that to me is the most powerful thing that she said is other people's visions are going to be different from mine, and that's okay. They don't all have to be my vision. It can be somebody else's. And how they respond to something, I need to have some level of tolerance. So if somebody is not as sensitive, if somebody is not as sensitive as you are in that, that doesn't make them worse than you. And it doesn't make you better than them because you're really super sensitive and honesty and truthfulness. Well, you are in that situation, but in other situations, maybe not as much. So to me, I mean, I don't remember, I remember ish that, but it's like, to me, I'm like, yeah, that one's kind of interesting. So I'm like, is that a lie? I don't, joking around, whatever. It's like, whatever, or leading people or whatever it is, to me, that's not. To go ahead and take a story and tell a part of a story and say, well, I'm being truthful, and then just forget or not tell another story. So you tell part of a story and it makes you look good. You tell it and you leave out a part of a story that makes somebody else look bad. And when I'm making myself look good and I'm making somebody else look bad because I'm telling parts of the story, to me, that is infinitely meaner, nastier, more sinful, far more than what I did. Now, just because I feel that doesn't mean it's true. It just means I feel that.
I just had a thought.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because of the different ways that we've been lied to.
In the
Is
past
what
by
is
people.
what is what like yeah, like so
Yeah.
the reason that you're sensitive to that is because you've been lied to like that. The reason
Right.
I'm sensitive to saying stuff that's not like to what I brought up is because that's how I've been lied to.
Right. So I you're paying a price for my history. I'm paying a price for your history, and that creates
But I don't
conflict.
think we have to pay for it. I think it's like, we can have conversations about it, like for sure.
Well, and that's the thing. If we can have conversations and like if you can communicate, hey, this hurts, or this, I don't think, like, I think I'm being considerate of you when I do those things. I think you're being considerate of me, where Mark's been put in a lot of situations where he, people go ahead and take things and twist them and turn them, and they present parts of the story and they don't do other things, and they're always looking good. He's always looking bad. Like when you go ahead and you you understand that about me, there's a sensitivity to that, and I think you're right. It's when you have these honest conversations where it's like, and then for us, for you to understand, like you did, and you said, hey, this is our past, and for me to understand, I might be judging Nora harshly, like she may be, like maybe this isn't, but then it gets so much more complicated even than that, because there's stuff in the past that this little thing wasn't dealt with, like the little saying this, and then it grows and grows and gets worse. Or for you, and you're like, well, this can lead to bigger things. And you're right. It can. So it's good to have a conversation, be considerate. Or I have passed. So it's almost like having an out of body experience and me saying like AI does. AI is great at this. Me saying, so Nora, why is that impact you so much? And you tell me, and you're like, and I'm like, okay, I understand why. She's connecting, linking these two things. When the other situation, looking bad, or um, seeing something in a business situation, it's not that I agree with you or you agree with me or that we disagree with one another. It's how do we have the capability to understand the perspective of the other person, and then do we have the bandwidth or capacity to consider that person? And it takes a lot of work. And the more people we have in our lives, the more family members we have in our life. You come from 10 siblings, the more family members you have, the more kids, the more social relationships, the more business, the more people we have in our lives, the more complicated it gets, for sure. So very good. Thanks for the extra time. Any other closing notes, Nora?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
Bye.